This video will outline the fundamental best practices that administrators must follow to optimize and effectively deploy Zenarmor on a network. Hardware. Although Zenarmor is a lightweight application that can efficiently run on low-end devices, you should consider the following best practices for choosing hardware. Virtualization. If there are many active devices on the network utilizing a large amount of bandwidth, performance may be less than desirable in virtual environments since resources are generally shared between the guest systems on the host. Network adapter. For higher reliability and performance, choose NetMap-compatible network adapters such as Intel-based adapters. For network drivers with NetMap compatibility issues, emulated NetMap mode may be used. CPU. A CPU with a higher single-core performance will perform better than a CPU with multiple slower cores. RAM. Zenarmor may run with a minimum of 1 GB of RAM, but if a local Elasticsearch database is used, at least 8 GB of RAM is recommended in order to process large amounts of data with Elasticsearch. Platform. Zenarmor may be deployed on a number of Linux and FreeBSD-based platforms such as Red Hat Enterprise Linux, Ubuntu, Debian, CentOS, OpenSense, and pfSense CE. Our recommendation is to install Zenarmor on the OpenSense firewall. It should be noted that the principles of Zenarmor and a packet filtering firewall operate independently of one another. Incoming packets are processed by the Zenarmor engine first, and if the packets are allowed to pass, they are then processed by the Layer 4 firewall platform of choice such as pfSense or OpenSense. Conversely, outgoing packets are initially processed by your Layer 4 firewall, then the Zenarmor engine proceeds to analyze the packets. In order for packets to be permitted through, the network traffic must not violate any rules specified on either of the Layer 4 firewall or Zenarmor. Subscription. Zenarmor offers several editions. You should decide which subscription plan is right for your needs. The number of devices you want to protect on your network, security requirements, API access, policy count, high availability, customer support, and integration with other security tools are some of the criteria that you should consider for the Zenarmor Edition selection. Note the following. All license activation keys are limited to a single node at a time. The Home Edition offers a total of 3 policies, while the Small Office Home Office Edition offers 5 policies. Higher subscription tiers have no policy limitations. Certain enterprise-level options like full TLS inspection, CASB, and URL blocking are only available for the SSE and higher subscriptions. The pool licensing option is available for business editions, which provides flexibility with having a single activation key for all firewalls and enterprise infrastructure. General settings. Some general settings to consider. CPU pinning. By default, Zenarmor is pinned to a dedicated CPU core to prevent CPU context switching overhead, but you may disable this default behavior. Hardware offloading. NetMap is not compatible with hardware offloading, so you should disable hardware offloading before deploying Zenarmor. Swap rate. The Zenarmor engine will stop if the swap usage exceeds the percentage specified by the user. The default percentage is set to 60%. Bypass mode. The bypass mode feature is useful when investigating incompatible network drivers, troubleshooting a problem with the packet engine, or resolving issues with other system components such as NetMap. If the problem still exists in bypass mode, the problem is not related to the packet engine, but rather a NetMap or OS problem. Jumbo frames. The maximum MTU value allowed is 1500 since NetMap is not compatible with jumbo frames. API keys. Keep in mind that API keys possess a lot of power, so please keep them safe from public consumption. Reporting database. Zenarmor provides several reporting database options. Consider your network size and the amount of RAM your firewall has available. Elasticsearch is a superior backend database option for large enterprise networks with hundreds of devices. A minimum of 8 GB of RAM is required to operate Elasticsearch in conjunction with Zenarmor. To reduce resource usage on the firewall, you may use a remote Elasticsearch database. For residential or small networks, SQLite can adequately facilitate efficient reporting. SSD drives are recommended for optimal reporting performance. Policy configuration. Consider the following practices for the creation of effective policies. Use minimal criteria. Define your policy configuration as simple as possible. When multiple criteria are specified for a policy, it is applied exclusively to network packets that satisfy each of the specified criteria. Please note that the AND logical operator is used to evaluate all policy criteria in policy configuration, not the OR logical operator. So for a particular type of traffic to match a specific policy, all criteria must be met. The only exceptions to this rule are devices and MAC addresses, where they can be used interchangeably. Policy processing order. Zenarmor policies are processed in order from top down. The most frequently matching rules should be placed at the top of the rule list for better performance, reducing unnecessary processing. Default policy configuration. Although the default policy configuration is mostly static and has limited number of customizable options depending on your subscription tier, it is advised to enable the Block Untrusted Devices option on the default policy. This will prevent rogue devices from accessing your network for harmful activities. Block Untrusted Devices. It is recommended to enable Block Untrusted Devices on policies which match a broad range of endpoints, such as networks and VLANs, to prevent unauthorized access to your network by unknown devices. MAC address criteria and policies. There is no requirement to include MAC address criteria for device or device category based policies. Caution is advised, as this particular policy applies solely to devices whose MAC addresses are explicitly specified within the policy. Inaccurate policy configuration due to improperly designed policies results in unforeseen packet filtering. Enable essential and advanced security rules. To safeguard your IT resources from potential malicious connections and prevent any suspicious network activities, it's recommended to enable all essential and advanced security rules by selecting the High Control option in the upper right-hand corner of the Security Rules page. In case you encounter false positive issues, you can effectively resolve them by creating exclusions through the Live Sessions Explorer. Be careful with whitelisting. Beware that exclusions take precedence over all of your security, application control, and web control rules. Particularly when adding a whitelist to a security category, exercise caution as an erroneous definition could lead to a compromise of your network. Network segmentation for IoT devices. By separating your IoT devices from valuable IT assets using separate VLANs and networks, and subsequently activating the exempted VLANs and networks option, you can prevent your devices from exceeding the device limitations specified in your purchase license. Exempted VLANs and network addresses are excluded from Zenarmor processing and reporting. Blocking DOH and DOT. In order to show the block notification page to users accessing unauthorized resources, it is necessary to ban clients on your network from utilizing DNS over HTTPS or DNS over TLS on their web browsers, since the block notification feature relies on DNS-based filtering. Interface selection. If you do not select any interfaces in the policy configuration, the policy will be checked for network packets on all interfaces. App controls versus web controls. The difference between application controls and web controls is that the web controls provide a more specific focused policy management for HTTP and HTTPS web-based connections. Application controls, on the other hand, work for all protocols and connection types and provide a more generalized control mechanism. TLS inspection. Prior to implementing full TLS inspection on an organization, it is recommended to meticulously strategize the TLS inspection deployment and adhere to established TLS inspection best practices. URL blocking. In order for the URL blocking feature to function, your policy must have full TLS inspection enabled. App controls. With app controls, you may block quick protocol applications for streaming applications like YouTube or Facebook, or block ads and ad trackers. No internet. In the policy configuration, there is a no internet option. You may have a desire, for example, to deny the network connection of children for a predetermined amount of time by defining a schedule for the policy and activating the no internet option. Reporting configuration. Best practices for Zenarmor reporting configuration. Enable community ID flow hashing. Enable community ID flow hashing to easily correlate network security events generated by other security tools on your network, like Suricata and Snort. This correlation provides a more comprehensive view of network activities and aids in the identification and response to potential threats. Stream reporting data to syslog or SIEM. Enable stream reporting data to your syslog server or SIEM tool such as Wuzza, Splunk, or Datadog for unified security and powerful monitoring. Configure reporting data period. Configure the reporting data period in accordance with the hardware specifications and reporting database of your choice. Zenarmor includes the optimal reporting data period for your database type by default. Anonymization. You may anonymize your local and report IP addresses for security and privacy purposes. If these options are enabled, Zenarmor will mask actual local and remote IP addresses with anonymized IP addresses in your reports. DNS enrichment. It is advised to enable DNS enrichment. Zenarmor analyzes DNS traffic and maps IP addresses to their DNS names. This will increase your filtering success rates and is highly recommended. Web and app controls. It is important to note that web controls are given priority over application controls. As a result of blocking a connection based on web control rules, the corresponding sessions will not undergo application control processing, and related reports will not contain application control information. Protected interfaces. The following key points should be considered when configuring Zenarmor protected interfaces. Protect LAN interfaces. As a best practice, it is recommended to protect LAN interfaces. You may run Suricata on WAN interfaces to protect your network against intrusions. Select parent interface instead of VLANs. As a best practice, it is advised to select physical parent interfaces, such as IGB0, instead of VLAN interfaces for protection. Zenarmor will be able to inspect all sub-interfaces of the physical interface, including the VLAN interfaces. Note that if you select both the VLAN interfaces and their parent interface, this will result in unnecessary duplication of packet processing and reporting. Set security zone properly. Ensure that the security zone tags are properly specified for each protected interface. Misconfiguring the interface tag might lead to issues with filtering and reporting. VPN Protocol Selection. To protect your VPN clients against cyber threats with Zenarmor, you should use WireGuard VPN due to its compatibility with NetMap. At the time of this video, OpenVPN does not have support for the NetMap driver. Device identification. Once Zenarmor has been installed on your firewall, you should verify devices as trusted on the Devices page. Zenarmor defines all newly detected devices as untrusted by default. Suspicious or unknown devices should be left as untrusted. When you enable device access control, untrusted devices cannot connect to the network until you manually verify and set them as trusted. To prevent unknown and untrusted devices from getting onto your network without your permission, you may turn on Block Untrusted Devices for any policies you have defined on your network. User-defined settings have higher priority than the settings automatically detected by Zenarmor. If you attempt to remove a device that has been recently seen, it will reappear on the next scan. Therefore, it is advised that you hide devices instead of deleting them. Cloud Threat Intelligence. Zenarmor provides AI-based threat intelligence, safeguarding your network against more than 300 million websites and domains. This is a remarkable security feature included in all Zenarmor subscriptions. Some considerations about Zenarmor's Cloud Threat Intelligence service are as follows. Communication between Zenarmor and Zenarmor Cloud Threat Intelligence servers uses an encrypted proprietary protocol on UDP ports 5355 and 5356. If outbound connections are being filtered, those UDP ports will need to be allowed to communicate with the Zenarmor CTI servers. In addition, if you see that the cloud nodes are down on the Zenarmor dashboard, ensure that ICMP is allowed from your Zenarmor node to CTI servers. It is not recommended to disable the Cloud Threat Intelligence service since it reduces the effectiveness of application and web filtering. This might negatively impact your filtering success rates and security posture. You may set local domain settings to be excluded from cloud queries. This may be useful if you see that your local domain is being categorized as firstly seen sites. Optimal cloud reputation servers are automatically selected for fast cloud queries according to their network response times. Zenarmor caches the query results for better performance and periodically checks for updates on the cached items. Clearing the cache may be beneficial if you would like a particular categorization change to get applied immediately. Certificate management. It is advisable to implement an intermediate certificate authority for Zenarmor so that you would be deploying your own root certificate authority on endpoint devices. If the firewall is compromised or reinstalled and the private key of the intermediate CA used for Zenarmor is lost, you may sign a new Zenarmor intermediate CA key using your own root certificate authority. Since the endpoints already have the customer's own root CA, no issues will arise in this process. For inspecting TLS traffic or viewing the Zenarmor block notification page for TLS traffic, you will need to install the Zenarmor internal CA certificate on your client devices as a trusted certificate. If you reinstall your OpenSense firewall or Zenarmor node, you will need to import this CA certificate to your Zenarmor. To be able to import the CA certificate, you must have not only the certificate file in PEM or CRT format that you obtained from the Zenarmor Certificate Authority Settings page, but also the private key for the CA certificate. It is highly advisable to duplicate and store these certificate files on a separate secure device that is not publicly accessible while enabling TLS inspection or blocking notice page functionalities. Automating this task may be achieved by using the backup and restore functionality of Zenarmor. Cloud-based management. Register your node to the Zen console. Enable the cloud management portal to administer all of your firewalls from the cloud with a single interface. Sharing firewall administration and establishing centralized, location-independent policies is incredibly beneficial, particularly for MSPs and enterprises with multiple Zenarmor deployments. Managed service providers can manage their customer subscriptions on Zen console. They may view, cancel, or purchase a subscription for their customers. Updates. Stay up to date with Zenarmor updates and patches to protect your deployment from vulnerabilities. There are some best practices that you may follow to upgrade your Zenarmor safely. Create a snapshot. Before beginning the upgrade procedure, create a snapshot of your virtual machine if you are operating your firewall in a virtual environment. Test in a staging environment. Whenever possible, test the upgrade in a staging or test environment that closely mimics your production setup. This allows you to identify and resolve any compatibility or performance issues before deploying the upgrade in the production environment. Ensure your connection is reliable. Ensure that you have a secure and reliable network connection to download the firmware update. Schedule appropriate time. To reduce service interruption and cybersecurity risk, schedule an appropriate time for your business. Establish a maintenance window that does not interfere with prime operation hours or periods of heavy network traffic. Get approval. It is essential to understand who has the authority to make upgrade decisions and who makes the final go or no-go determination. Share your plan for an upgrade with your manager or approval committee and obtain their approval. Prefer Zenarmor UI. You should use the Zenarmor status page to update your Zenarmor in a more controlled and safe way. Fresh install and restore backup. If you are unable to upgrade Zenarmor Next Generation Firewall and cannot resolve the issue, you can attempt a fresh installation and restore from your most recent backup. Document and review. It is essential to document the entire process of the upgrade. This information should be recorded in a readily accessible location so that you can enhance your process the next time if need be. Backup and recovery. To be prepared for the worst case scenario, regularly back up your Zenarmor configuration and reporting data to ensure quick recovery in case of system failures or security incidents. If you have to roll back with a fresh installation of Zenarmor, you may rapidly recover from the failure by restoring your next generation firewall configuration. Test your backup and recovery procedures periodically to ensure they function properly. Monitoring. Implement monitoring tools to track the performance and security of your Zenarmor deployment. Analyze logs and reports to identify any suspicious activities or potential security threats. Be sure to check the Zenarmor notification page on a periodic basis. Notifications enable you to be notified of critical Zenarmor firewall events. If you encounter any problems or errors, you must promptly identify and correct them or revert to a previous state if necessary. Training and support. Provide training to your team on how to use Zenarmor effectively and securely. Document your deployment procedures, configurations, and best practices for future reference. Do not forget that Zenarmor is always by your side. If you are experiencing any issues with your next generation firewall, do not hesitate to contact the support team. For all other Zenarmor related information, please visit zenarmor.com.